Gurl.
Hi, Colleen.
Hi, Kelly.
How are you?
I'm doing so good. I'm excited about today's topic.
Girl,
Getting spicy. We're gonna get deep.
getting heated up in here.
It's getting hot in here. So make this part of the clip.
Absolutely. We're also experimenting with our audio today.
Yes.
As you can see in the video, Colleen has clipped her microphone to her chest. I might also try that one day, but I just really like holding it for no reason at all.
Yes.
So I'm going to try to keep my hand still. That's my challenge.
We also have our eye masks on, so put on your eye mask if you want. Kelly has one on, but I don't know if you can see her.
You can't see it.
It's just glossy.
Yeah, my under eyes are not just this glossy naturally, in case you were wondering. But it does blend with my skin a little bit.
Yeah.
We love that. So today's spicy episode, we have a few different rabbit holes we want to go down, but we're definitely going to be talking about some sexy stuff in the bedroom.
Yeah, healing wounds in the bedrooms.
Yeah.
We'll get into our voices in the bedroom, some maybe trauma in the bedroom, dissociating, fawning. It'll be a vibe.
Experimenting. We love it.
Yeah.
We love it. Okay, so I think this is going to be also an interesting duo for this topic because you, as we mentioned in the breakups episode, and I think also in the first episode, have been with the same person for 10 years. And so you've been with mostly just one person throughout your entire sex life.
Yeah, literally. Yeah. For the most part.
Yeah.
There's like one other. No, there's no such thing as TMI. It's giving tell me.
Immediately. Absolutely. We say that to each other all the time. I'll be telling you about the most disgusting things of my life.
But yeah, there was literally one other person. Yeah, other than Henry, which honestly, slay.
I love that for you.
Yeah.
Because I feel like there's so much to learn about yourself through sex. And you can learn it obviously with different people, but every time you are just starting to get intimate with a person, there's so much barriers to work through as far as your safety and your comfortability with that person. So every time you're kind of having to move through those layers before you can get to know yourself better and deeper. Yes. But you've just kind of got to do that part once.
I know, and then just be like, I'm done. This is it. Honestly, though, I do wish, I think I've said this to you, but I do wish that I did wait longer than most people, but now I'm like, oh, I should have held out even more for Henry because I'm like, when I first did it, I felt like I was at the age, maybe some women can relate, but I felt like I was at the age where people were doing it, you were getting a little bit older, and it's like, oh, I might as well experience it, and I'm not this weird virgin. Yeah. So I feel like when I did it, I feel like back then I wish I would have waited, but it's also okay because it was meant to happen. So yeah,
it happened.
Period. Yeah, literally.
But that is literally what everyone tells you when you're at the age of sex ed. Everyone's like, if you do it before you're ready, you're gonna regret it.
I know.
Just wait longer than you think you need to. Everyone says that, and then we're all at that age just rolling our eyes yeah, okay.
Literally. Oh my God. I think I've heard so many stories of literally women being like, oh my God, I lost it. A lot of the women I've heard were way younger than me because I think mine was I think in university. I was in university, I think. Yeah. So that's even way later in life.
People,
yeah.
You know what's interesting, and I've thought about this a lot, and I might need to reflect on this more, but I don't have that regret. I don't feel like I should have waited later, even though I was insanely young. I was too young to be doing that. I was 14.
Honestly, though, girl, slay.
But I don't know. I just felt like I was ready.
Kelly said, let's get it on.
Literally, I had been with the person. We were in a relationship for 1 year at that point.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Looking back on it, I'm looking at 14-year-olds now. I'm you
do not
should not be doing that. However, I don't feel like I did anything wrong by doing it. Do as I say, not as I do.
Period. I also feel like time back then maybe moves differently now. Because I feel like 14 then is kind of 16, 17, but like 14 now is like so different. I don't know,
It
call
is.
me crazy, but
No, you're right. That's an actual thing. I actually learned it in one of my psychology classes, but I
ooh,
can't remember the name of the phenomenon. But essentially, like they're noticing trends of teenagers in this decade are
mm-hmm.
actually doing a lot of the milestones later than people in
Ooh,
younger or older generations.
mm-hmm.
So they're getting their license a lot later. Like when we were growing up, we couldn't wait to get our license.
Yes,
It's like
yeah,
you turn 16, you're going like on your birthday
immediately,
for the most part.
yeah,
Whereas a lot of kids these days are waiting like years
yes,
to get their
yeah,
license, and then a lot of other milestones as well. They're taking
yeah,
longer to achieve them, which is interesting.
yeah. It makes sense though with this generation. They're probably uninterested in adulting, which honestly take as long as you need to
Yes.
like grow up.
Yes, we should do a whole episode on that.
Literally.
Because honestly, healing is just coming back to being a kid again.
Yeah, your inner child, which
Yeah,
we love her
we
and
do.
him or they, them. Everyone's welcome.
I love the inclusivity. The inner children.
Period. Oh my god.
Okay. Yeah, so I am so curious to hear your experiences of healing bedroom wounds because they have primarily been with one person,
Yeah.
like we said. And so when you think about this topic and this concept of there being wounds that we carry that we need to that get projected onto intimacy, physical intimacy, and that we need to work through in order to have better sex essentially
Mm-hmm.
and better intimacy, what are the main ones that you can resonate with?
I think the main one was like shyness in the bedroom and also not feeling confident in the bedroom. And I feel like a lot of that came from it's giving we're like 17 minutes, not even 7 minutes in, and we're already talking about this, but it's giving sexual trauma. So whether you know it or not, I had experienced unfortunately like sexual trauma. So I feel like that really affected the way I viewed like intimacy growing up. And I also feel like that played into a role of why I didn't want to like be intimate with people because of what happened. Because after that, I went through actually after my spiritual awakening, I went through a whole thing where like I had to like heal a lot of those wounds. And what came up was like seeing my body just as like an object and it like not feeling like worshipped and like it just being seen as like something that gets taken advantage of. So it was a lot of like healing those. So that also equated to like being shy in the bedroom and not feeling as confident and stuff. So it's interesting to see how like in the first relationship how that pairs to like Henry, because I feel like in the first relationship, unfortunately, and I feel like it was unconscious, like I would never like blame him in any way, but like when men get excited, I feel like it was very much like pressury in a way. And if you're young and you don't have that model to kind of speak to you about those things, you're not going to know how to use your voice and emphasize no and no and no and well no, right? So
Yeah.
I feel like unfortunately there was moments where there was a little bit too much pressure, and I was like, okay, well, I am just gonna people please because I don't want something bad to happen if I say no, especially because I also like experience sexual trauma, right? And there's no way you should think about that like when you're in a relationship, but obviously when you have trauma, that's a thing. But then now looking into like Henry, I feel like it really helped me like find my voice in the bedroom, feel confident, and like just even outside of like intimacy, just even being able to like look at yourself in the mirror like naked, nude, and just have so much gratitude for your body instead of like looking at it as like victim mentality, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so normal, I think, also on the pressure note. The pressure of men towards women in sex is so normalized in our
Yes.
society,
Yeah.
like even just in media. Our whole
Mm-hmm.
lives, we grew up watching media of men just being absolute horn dogs and
Yes.
not outwardly or always outwardly pressuring women, but they're always just sort of being an expectation that guys always want sex
Mm-hmm.
and you're supposed to provide that ideally. And so I think we do internalize that a
Mm-hmm.
lot as women and we almost expect it from men.
Mm-hmm.
And so then when they are showing interest in any way, we do immediately or we can immediately interpret it as they're pressuring me or they're just
Yes.
using me.
Yes, exactly. And that was literally that was the voice that came up, right? And a lot of that I had to heal that and then come back to like, okay, well, what I want? What do I like? And I feel like a lot of that was also clearing shame from even liking pleasure in general. And pleasure is not just in the bedroom, like it's just pleasure. You can enjoy your food and be lovingly in pleasure with it, right? Like I feel like the relationship with pleasure was one that I also healed. So I feel like that went like a long way. I'm interested to know, like in your instance, like when you were in the bedroom with your, let's say, like at 14, how do you compare like that version versus like now?
A lot of the things that you're saying I'm
Mm-hmm.
resonating with, like just a lot of shyness and a lot of sort of repressing my own desire because it didn't feel like safe to even
Yeah.
admit that I had desire. Like it's so shamed in women to even have like a sex drive at
Yes.
all. And so you sort of just have to like bite that down, not ask for what it is that you want, and just sort of provide your body for the experience and cross your fingers and hope that you enjoy it too.
Yes.
And that was a lot of my early sexual
Mm-hmm.
experiences. And I want to expand on what you said about pleasure. I don't think you said pleasure not feeling safe, but you said something around,
Yeah, like healing pleasure because I felt bad about even enjoying.
yeah,
Yeah, like
exactly.
intimacy.
Because that's actually just a theme across the board for women. We've been
Mm-hmm.
told that our desires are not trustworthy. Like if we desire food, we're going to get uncontrollably out of weight and be unattractive and unsexy.
Mm-hmm.
If we desire more in our career, then we're going to become the type of woman that a man would never want. If we're desiring something in the bedroom, then we're an SLUT,
Yes,
right? And
literally.
so we're
Yeah.
told that our desires are not trustworthy, that we're supposed to numb ourselves from our desires and then asking for what it is that we want in any aspect of our lives or going after what it is that we deeply desire is going to lead us to some kind of unfavorable or painful outcome.
Yeah. And I think it's also like the good girl mentality too that's been so indoctrinated into like women, girls in general. So it's like if you were enjoying like pleasure or whatever, you're seeing like not as like modest or as a maiden or as like a good girl, which means that like ultimately you might get treated poorly by the man because why should he respect you if you're not like basically acting right, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are there any other main wounds that come up for you that you remember like having to work through in your sex life with Henry?
Um, I'm trying to think. I feel like the other one. Ooh, this is a big one. Intimacy comes to like connection, and I feel like a lot like for the longest time I was afraid to like just even look at someone like outside of intimacy, just even look at someone in the eyes and just being like that intimate with them was big for
It's
me. It was
intense,
big.
but I love
It
it.
was intense, and I feel like I had to like build up to that because there's a level of vulnerability that like comes when you're like looking at someone in the eye and literally making eye contact with them. And then I also think that comes to like even like my culture when I grew up, like you're not supposed to like look at like people in the eyes, like it's a sign of disrespect. And like I think there's so
Oh,
many things that played into that. So I think in the bedroom you're at your most vulnerable, so I'm like
already.
looking at someone in the eye. I for the longest time I like closed my eye, and then like the last few years it's like slowly I'm like this is so much better and like being intimate. But I think that also came from like healing the part of myself that was like, well, you can't enjoy it too much or whatever, right? So like looking at someone in the eyes felt like they're literally staring into your soul.
In like the most vulnerable
Yes,
spot that you could be in when
exactly.
you're surrendering, when you're
Yes.
in
Yes.
pleasure, when you're receiving pleasure, when you're just like fully embodied. And I mean, in order for sex to actually be good, and we'll get into the performative side, but like when you're really going past those performative barriers of sex and you're actually being embodied and enjoying the experience, there are faces going on, there are sounds coming out, and then to have someone look you directly in the eyes when all of that is happening is extremely vulnerable. You're right.
Giving runaway.
But it is the best.
It is.
When you can do that with someone that you feel safe with.
Yes.
There's just something about just adding on that extra layer of intimacy and vulnerability that I don't know why, but it just is better.
It is. And I think that also, like, safety is a huge thing, because I think, like, when I think about, like, even the first relationship, I didn't feel safe. And I feel like a lot of the times, like, even in intimacy, it was like, okay, well, it sounds so bad, but let's just get it over with. Like, you know what I mean? So there was no time to, like, even get that deep and, like, want to build that, like, safety with intimacy with that person. So I didn't really care to, like, look at someone in the eye. I'm like, let's just get it over. I'm in my La La Land.
Yes. And I think that is like a young thing as well. Like when you're first starting your sex life, you kind of feel like you have to close your eyes just to get out of your head. Also, and to like try to feel the pleasure, and like you're also just learning your body. And so if you're like looking around the room or looking at what the person is doing, it can be distracting. So I do think a lot of us spend at least the earliest parts of our sex lives doing it with our eyes closed.
Yes.
I also wanted to ask you about your experience of like being performative in the bedroom, because I don't know if you've actually really struggled with that, because you have established such like a safety with the main person that you had your sex life with.
I don't actually think I was performative in the bedroom. I think for the most part, if anything, it was more so feeling like confident to even like initiate, and then not just initiating, but then also allowing yourself to receive in the bedroom too, because I feel like that was a huge thing with Henry. And I feel as if like a lot of women probably don't even know what it feels like to receive, because I've heard like so many stories of like women being like, well, this guy just did this or just wanted me to do this, and like he didn't even care about what I wanted in the bedroom. So I feel like that gets into like women's head of like, you do have to perform a certain way to please the man. But what if like you were just there and you just allowed yourself to receive? So I feel like that was huge.
I feel like that is such like a pivotal moment in a woman's sex life, when she gets intimate with someone that actually cares about her enjoyment and pleasure in sex, and maybe for the first time like is ensuring that she is satisfied.
Yes.
Because a lot of women, I imagine, I haven't talked to every woman in the world, but I can at least speak from my experience, that a lot of the earlier experiences in our sex lives, we don't really know what satisfaction is, but we definitely aren't getting there. Like we might take a while to actually reach our first orgasm. And then even when we do reach our first orgasm, kind of on the same topic of not knowing how to ask what you want, you sort of just think like, okay, well, if it happens, great, but like I'm not going to expect that happens every time.
Yes.
And so you sort of just like have this sex life where like it kind of just, it feels good for a bit and then it's over, but like you're not having these like mind boggling like experiences with sex that like kind of you hear about in media, or that you read about in smut books, where it's so good that you like literally can't stop thinking about it. And I think a lot of women end up convincing themselves like maybe that's actually not real, like maybe that's just women making things up, that no woman actually enjoys sex that much that they would be having like these mind-blowing, life-changing experiences during sex and like multiple orgasms. Like that's like a crazy concept, I think, for a lot of us at some point in our sexual lives.
Yeah, I agree. And I feel like on that topic, there's so much that as a woman you can even learn to become more free in the bedroom, find your voice, feel safe. And the more you do that, the more you're actually empowering yourself, like outside of just even being intimate with your partner. Like, what about like you being nude and just talking to your boobs and be like, oh my God, I love you. Or like your tummy, oh my God, I love you. Like giving your yoni a flower name or something that like you freaking
my lily
worship. Period. It's giving peony.
you call yours a peony?
I thought about it. Literally, though, it's all of that adds to you feeling empowered, because the more confident you are in your sexual energy, the more magnetic you are, like not to women but to yourself, because that's what like attracts things, that's what you manifest with. And it's really sad that as women we've been taught to dim that, to shame that, to repress that, all of that 24/7. And I feel like that's a big part of why so many women are so not happy with themselves, or so unconfident, and like just have such a bad like body image in general, right? Because they're not feeling confident in like just being a woman, being sexy, being sensual as well, right?
I think both my sex life and my body image improved massively from exploring my own body in ways
Yeah.
that you were just saying. And also just like making my pleasure a priority, like wanting to explore my body and figure out what actually feels good. Because if it doesn't feel safe for me to do it by myself, then how am I going to feel safe ever asking someone else to explore that with me? And so I feel like for a lot of women, we do sort of have to learn what it is that feels good and practice on ourselves first so that we can have an idea of how to communicate that with someone. Because if we're trying to communicate something that's already really vulnerable and then we're still not really sure, like it's just unlikely to happen.
Yeah. And I think communication is a big thing, because even finding your voice, even being in the bedroom, if someone's doing something you don't like, it's not to say that they're doing it on purpose, but to be like, hey, I don't like this. Can we try this? Or move your hand here, or let's do this, or caress this, whatever the heck it is. I feel like that takes guts, right?
So
And
much.
whether you, not to get too much woo, but we will always get too much woo. This is connected to this, right? So if this is blocked, that means this is blocked. So if this is blocked, you're not going to be able to speak and actually find your voice and tell your partner what you want in the bedroom. And that's another level of vulnerability.
And for the people that are listening who weren't watching the video, she was pointing to
Oh,
her
yes.
throat.
The throat and the yoni.
Yeah, the throat chakra is connected
Yes.
to the
To the
sacral.
yoni. Yes, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Basically, your vulva.
Yeah. And on that note, it took me, since I lost my virginity when I was 14, I think I discovered this like around the age of 25. So like it took me a decade to even learn that like I received pleasure from like nipple stimulation. And I learned that on my own time. And I never would have felt comfortable exploring that with someone or even telling someone like, oh, can you like help with this?
Yeah.
Because this will help with pleasure. But and we are going so TMI with this, but like talking about the sacral chakra and the throat chakra being connected, I do feel like, and maybe this is chest area, chest heart chakra area, but like when there's stimulation happening in the nipple area for me, I literally feel it down there. I feel it down there. Like I wouldn't even be able to tell the difference what's being stimulated. That's how crazy connected they are.
It's a big thing. And I know, just talking like energy wise, body wise, like our breasts as women, it is connected to nurturing. So it makes sense, because a lot of women get stimulation from that. But like it makes sense if you are being stimulated through your breast, it's actually like someone nurturing you. So it makes sense why it's connecting that, and it's immediately like activating that, because as a woman, we love being nurtured, we love being taken care of. So
we love nurturing and we love being nurtured.
Yes, exactly. Is there like a point in your um dating life where you wanted to like say something to somebody but felt like maybe you couldn't?
I didn't learn how to actually communicate what I wanted in the bedroom until a relationship that I had when I was like 25. You know exactly who we're talking about, but we're not shouting him out again. He's gotten too many shout outs. But like up until that point, and I wouldn't have even like said that I hadn't had a good sex life up until that point, because I just didn't really know what it could be. But it was sort of that experience of just like letting sex happen to me and just like crossing my fingers and hoping that it feels good, but not feeling safe to explore what feels good and then communicate that. And I think it was like we were just talking about, a lot of the self discovery and just like learning what it was that felt good, and then also just being in, intimacy with someone that I felt comfortable and safe with. That I remember exactly when it was like the first time that I actually had an orgasm during sex,
Mm-hmm.
and it was with that person.
Mm-hmm.
Up until that point, I had just like, like I could orgasm on my own and I could orgasm from like a man going down on me, but actual penetrative sex never got me there. And I just thought maybe there's just something wrong with me.
Yeah.
But the reality was is that I just hadn't learned, but also didn't feel comfortable saying that like I need more than just in and out in order to get there, which is most women, by the way. We said this in our Q&A last week, where someone was asking about bringing a vibrator into the bedroom and asking their man about that. But yeah, I do remember it just kind of switched with that person, and I don't know if it was a matter of learning it by myself and then feeling like I could communicate it. I don't know if it was a matter of my frontal lobe kind of also developed around that same age, so maybe I just felt more comfortable. Maybe it was doing it with this person because for whatever reason I felt safe with them, and then kind of getting over those nerves of being able to communicate it, and then that just carried forward into the rest of my sex life. Probably a combination of all those things.
I like that. Okay, on the topic of experimenting, can you talk about how important that has been for you, and how that has like changed how now, let's say even in your last relationship, and then moving forward, how you see that it's going to affect like your sex life in the best way?
Yeah. Well, speaking of bedroom wounds, there's one primary one that I feel is relevant and significant in my sex life that even probably to this day I haven't fully healed from, but I've only recently discovered the language for it, and it's called sexual fawning. I knew that I struggled with this prior to having the language to describe it, and it was actually something that I sought out to support myself with overcoming a little bit over a year ago. You know exactly the time. my few month little stint on a dating app. I downloaded a dating app for the first time in my life, like around March of 2025. And I did so for a couple of reasons. One, I was bored. I was just living in a new city. I wasn't going to be there very long. I didn't really feel like I could make like long-term friends or relationships because I knew my time there was coming to an end. And so I sort of just wanted something to do, go on a few dates, have some conversations, just practice dating again because it had been a while. But another reason, going back to the sexual fawning thing, is that I noticed this pattern in my relations with men that actually extended beyond sex. It happened in so many other contexts that were just like casual. And it was always with men, though. And it was a pattern that now I know to describe as fawning. But it was coming through in experiences of even like when a man would approach me in the wild. And something inside of me did not want to continue the conversation or did not want to engage any further with that person for whatever reason. Maybe I wasn't attracted to them, or I just got a vibe that I didn't really enjoy their company and didn't want to experience any longer. If they asked for my number, I would give it unquestionably. I wouldn't even think about it. Even if my intention was, I'll give it and then just ignore their text. Yeah, exactly. But there was this pattern of just not being able to stand up for what it was that I actually wanted, and sort of rejecting my own needs and desires in the presence of a man in whatever context, in order to keep the peace, in order to maybe on some level to feel safe. But I think a big part of it was just to avoid discomfort and the conflict that I assumed would come from standing up for myself and just saying what it is that I wanted.
Right.
I think a lot of women can relate to that too.
Yeah.
Just not wanting to reject a man.
Yes, because I feel like as a woman too, not to interrupt you, but I feel like it's, you're such in a vulnerable position, and you know how, I don't want to say inferior, but a man is much more stronger, bigger built than you. So now imagine you being this petite side, because we're just girls. And now literally being such in a vulnerable position and being like, no. Like, I don't know about you, but in my head, what took time for me, especially after sexual trauma, it was basically like, well, I can't say no because saying no puts me in the vulnerable position, because what if he gets mad? What if he gets angry? What if now I just ticked him off and then that's my fault? So I feel like a lot of women probably have that subconscious fear of, oh, I can't say no because that's actually going to endanger me. So I might as well just people please and not say anything.
It is a version of people pleasing.
Yeah.
You're right. Yeah, that is kind of how I relate to fawning. Is it feels so. I think I'm gonna try to describe what fawning is, just to give a little bit more context of it generally. But I'm not a nervous system expert, so I might not be 100% accurate with this.
Do it, queen.
But it is like when we think about fight or flight, that those are the common nervous system responses that people know. So I always picture like animals. I think maybe because in biology class, probably when I first learned about the nervous system and these different responses, I'm pretty sure they maybe used animals to explain them. So with fight or flight, the example that I think of is just like a deer. So if they're coming into some kind of conflict with someone that's trying to, another animal that's trying to make them prey, then they would try to fight back. That's the nervous system response that says, let me try to protect myself by fighting and overcoming this other, I was gonna say person, but this other thing. And then flight would be running away. So a lot of us avoidance can relate to that nervous system response. And then there's freeze and fawn as well. A lot of people don't realize that there are these other responses because we hear of fight or flight so much more often. But freeze is exactly what it sounds like in the context of there being a threat present. You would just lock up and freeze and not do anything. And then fawn is kind of similar in my understanding, but again, I'm not an expert. But when I picture fawning, I picture a deer that just kind of like falls to the ground and lets the bear eat it.
Oh, so it's not even like a deer in headlights, but it's freeze. Oh, it's like a deer like surrendering, not even trying.
Ooh. Exactly.
Ooh.
And so it's a nervous system response that we all have.
Yeah.
And I think I have fawned in a lot of areas of my life, but I noticed this pattern with men, and it is very people pleasing adjacent, like you said. And I noticed it with men asking for my number. I noticed it with, going on a date with a man and then not wanting to see him again, but then not saying that, and then just trying to figure out a way to excuse myself from going on that planned second date that I didn't say no to some other way, making up some big excuse, right? And although, that pattern was working to some extent, like it never explicitly got me into trouble. It maybe even saved, the men on the other side some discomfort of rejection, because maybe some of them actually were dumb enough to believe my excuses and not take it as rejection. But something about it still didn't feel right. And I think it was just the aspect of, it was so dishonoring of myself.
I wonder if I'm literally getting messages right now, but I wonder if it is like inner child from like dealing with a lot of like just like body image issues, and then feeling like, well, you might as well surrender to like whatever guy wants you, because if at least any guy wants me, then it's like I might as well, right? So
that's definitely it. Like it did feel like my experience of men when I was younger, I did kind of, because I felt so lowly of myself and always struggled with my body image, I do think there was a level of scarcity and of like it feeling unsafe to take up space, I think, as well. And so when someone is giving me attention, then I just kind of feel like, because of who I am and because of the way my body looks, maybe at some point in my life is how I interpreted it, because of that, I have to just accept this. Like, who am I to turn this down?
Yeah, I do understand, because it is uncomfortable to say no. Like, for Henry worked at a bar, like he was security, and he was like, man, like I feel bad for women. Like some of these men are like dogs, and like he would see women say no, 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 and they would literally not leave them alone. So imagine, like, of course, like, it makes sense why you're like, well, let me just surrender and give it to you, right? Because I know even me personally, if I'm up and about, I'm not by myself usually, but if I'm up and about and I feel threatened, it is a natural response to be like, let me just clear the situation, get rid of it, and then not talk to you again instead of causing more, like, of an eruption or whatever, right? Absolutely. I was going to say erection.
Also causing more erection. We don't want to cause more erection in that scenario.
I'm like, no, ruption, not erection. Oh my God, period.
So going back to my experience on that dating app, my first ever dating app experience, my justification for doing so was that I just wanted to see, could I practice? Could I practice the opposite of this fawning thing that I didn't have a name for at the time? And I knew that the relationships were not going to go anywhere because, like I said, I was going to be leaving within 3 months, I think, of the time of me downloading this dating app. And so I didn't really have any planned idea of where I was going to let the, I'm going to say, relationships go with the people that I was talking to, if I ended up talking to anyone on the dating app. But I knew that I was going to use it as an opportunity to, one, tune into my body, tune into how do these exchanges feel. If an exchange isn't feeling good, I'm going to honor that. And I might even practice communicating that. Also, I challenge myself to do that a lot. And then to continue tuning into, even if an exchange or a relationship, I'm going to say relationship, but not actual relationship, because I wasn't dating these men really. But if an exchange felt good in the beginning and then I experienced something from them or heard something from them that changed that for me, I was also going to honor that. That was hard.
Love that.
That was a big challenge for me as well. And so the intention was, I just want to get better at this.
I love that.
Right? And this is the perfect opportunity for me to do it, because if I mess up, it doesn't matter because I'm never going to see these people again. I'm literally leaving the continent in 3 months. And so there's no pressure for me to have to, put this anywhere. I'm just practicing. And to expand the fawning scenario into sexual fawning, I also want to talk about how that shows up in the bedroom, because we talked about people pleasing, but my interpretation of sexual fawning is it shows up in ways of not saying that something doesn't feel good when it feels painful, not saying that, just accepting it, or not saying that, not saying what it is that you actually want or what does feel good. It can mean saying yes to sex or doing it again when you don't really feel like it yet. It can mean saying yes to doing something for the other person that you don't feel comfortable with just because you're already naked and in front of them. And I think a lot of the time you're like, well, I guess I have to now. You know? But if you're not comfortable or don't feel like doing something, you might just do it anyway in sexual fawning. Those are the top things I can think of. I'm sure there are other ways that it shows up, but it is just that matter of suppressing your own needs and desires in that moment to keep the peace, to people please, and to avoid conflict. And I knew I did that not just outside the bedroom, but definitely in the bedroom a lot of times. And not only was that an act of dishonoring myself, but I also saw just what that created in my past relationships, because it did create a lot of resentment. And I would end up resenting my partners in a similar way to what you talked about, where you said you felt like you were interpreting his advances as you as pressure, and then maybe building a story about that.
Instead of me being like, actually, no. Like,
And I definitely found myself telling myself stories about previous partners that they didn't care about my pleasure, they were just using me for sex, that They didn't actually care about me, that if I didn't like something, they didn't care, or if I was in pain, they didn't care. But in reality, I wasn't communicating it.
Yeah.
So how would they know that?
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. And I feel like this is so important when it comes to, because women, men in general, you get through a certain age. I can't remember when I learned. Actually, I think I learned this when I was like healing sexual trauma and stuff, because you have to learn like, okay, what age and all these things. So there was an age, I can't remember what it is, but like it is natural to have like questions about sex and to start like having that curiosity, and that's part of like your hormones developing. And I feel like it's so important to have like safe spaces to talk about that, because all of that will lead to, like, for example, now like women being able to be like, no, I can say no, I can't do this, that, instead of just shaming. So I'm like, if we had that in general, like growing up, I feel like it would have been much easier for you to be like, oh, actually, I can say, no, I don't like this. No, this hurts or whatever. And then not having to like internalize this like story. And I feel like part of that comes from even the indoctrination that like women, like sex is for supposed to be for men, right? Like it's supposed like you're just there to pleasure. So who cares like if you're enjoying it, right? And frick, we see that in like Bridgerton. I was watching, House of Dragons, like when they were literally just like they were just using the woman's body, and and you see all the women just laying there, and I'm like, this is still happening in current day.
It makes me sick.
Yeah.
I really hate that.
Yeah.
I hate it being portrayed, but I also like have it so internally inside of me as like this hatred thing that, again, it was something that I was looking for in my partners and then projecting onto them.
Yeah.
But it was something that I recognized I had some ability to get out of if I learned how to communicate better, like I said. And then it was a matter of, okay, if I still feel that way, but I'm communicating it with that person, then I know for sure it's just because of them. Right. Whereas there was always this back and forth of like, I feel used, but maybe that's because I'm not communicating it, but I don't know how to communicate it. And then I would just kind of go in circles and then end up in the same position again and again and again.
Yeah.
Where that I could just feel that resentment building, but didn't really know what to do with it. So I used that 3 month, I don't even think it ended up being quite 3 months because of something else that happened that interrupted it. But I used that period of time to practice that inside and outside of the bedroom with the men that I was interacting with. And I found it definitely easier to practice the anti-fawning outside of the bedroom than in. I think by the end of the experiment, I was still really struggling with the inside the bedroom part. Yeah. Especially with when something feels painful. Yeah. Communicating that. I feel like because you're already such in a vulnerable position. You know what I mean? And it's a lot to like get your voice and be like, yo, I don't like this. Because then too, right? I don't know about you, but for me, depending, they say how you like take pleasure is different. So even how you get turned on is different, right? So people can be cerebral, like they can be in their head, they can need to visualize and all of that, right? So I feel like as a woman, it takes like whatever you do to like get turned on. To me, I'm like, if at any point you're like, oh my God, this is painful, I feel like you also don't want to wreck the moment, because then it's like, if I say it, it's wrecked, I'm awkward, and now my yoni has closed for business for the day. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. Or like you make it your job to like be that to for the pleasure of the other person as well. So you don't want to ruin it for them. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. There's a lot of pressure I feel like we put on ourselves. Even though like saying like, oh, this hurts, I've learned since then, does not actually ruin the moment as much as you would think it does. But for some reason we internalize that story of like, oh, like I'll just, and I think this goes into another thing I wanted to say actually was aligned with the sexual fawning. I think there was a pattern of dissociating in sex for me too. I think those two were quite linked, but I noticed that when something wasn't feeling good or was even like reaching the pain barrier, rather than communicating that, which would have been easy in hindsight, I would just leave my body. Pisces land. Literally. I would go somewhere else. And that was for some reason easier than being like, oh, like, sorry, like, can we slow down a little bit? Like, it's starting to hurt or whatever. This position hurts. Can we change position? And I noticed that pattern come up during this experiment that I was doing over those 3 months. There was a few times where what's so freaky about dissociation is that I didn't realize I was doing, like, I don't realize it's happening when it's happening. It's so subconscious and it's so automatic, especially like I said, in moments of where something is feeling uncomfortable, that I just leave my body. But the unfortunate thing that I realized through perpetually being more aware of that and intentionally being more aware of this pattern was that once I dissociate, I can't really come back into my body. And sometimes it actually takes until the next day when I fully land back in my body. It's crazy. I wonder if other women experience this.
Yeah, I'm interested to know if other women experience this. I'm wondering, like, girl, I'm getting so many downloads right now. I'm like, yeah, like, listening.
Therapize me.
I'm like, literally, and I'm hearing like dissociating comes from like feeling it's not ungrounded, but there's a the way I'm seeing it is kind of like there's, I don't want to say fractures, but it's almost like the sacral's disorientated. So you know how energy works, and it's like when you're fuzzy in the head and you're ungrounded, you just feel like you're everywhere. Like literally what I just heard, and I was like, dissociating comes from like your sacral energy just being dispersed. So I wonder if calling back all of that, what just got chills, all of that power from all the times you've dissociated and just kind of like claiming that back would help with that, and to just kind of like ground that.
I'm gonna try that. It was so weird how hard it was to become aware of it happening though. And my signs are so subtle also. Like my thoughts become predictably a certain way when after I've dissociated. Like a lot of those patterns of resentment that we were talking about, and just feeling a lot of shame, feeling like, oh, they're just using me and they don't actually care about me, and they just wanted sex from me. They're just basically using my body as a sex toy at this point to masturbate. Like a lot of that, those dark stories would start taking the forefront of my mind when I would dissociate, and I would be incapable of feeling anything down there. Like I would just go numb everywhere, even if there had priorly been sensation. And like I said, at this point, I hadn't figured out how to actually come back into my body after that happened. It would just kind of happen like hours later.
Like I'm literally hearing like that, and then also like speaking directly to like your yoni and your sacral and being like, you're safe, you're okay, like connecting.
Imagine me saying that in front of a new man.
And if you're weirded out, you're not the one. Because what?
For my future man out there. When I start talking to my yoni and saying that it's safe, mind your business.
Hold on, babe, you're safe. Oh my god! Oh, I love that. So honestly, I do feel like, obviously, like Henry has helped me a lot, but I genuinely feel like healthily, especially because so many women go through that, like just not feeling safe in the bedroom, your voice, etc. Experimenting is a big thing. I feel like it really, in a safe measure, in a safe place. I'm not saying go do whatever, but I feel like it's so important because it does help with experiences like that. Because at the end of the day, you feeling confident in who you are right now, even more empowered, right? Like in yourself, in your magnetism, and all these things, is because you allowed yourself to explore that, right? And it's so sad that like the world tries to shame that, but it makes sense because they don't want women to be like, to feel empowered, right?
To feel sexy, to feel good about themselves.
Exactly.
I did gain a lot of confidence actually from that period. Now that you mention it, I didn't really realize I had. But I think there's something about just getting to talk about yourself over and over to new people and explain who you are. It's just like, wait, I'm actually kind of cool.
You are. And I see that even more, like even when you talk to men now, it's not like in a way that like you talk very confident, like you're not like hiding, you're like, yeah, this is me, like I am who I am, like yeah, I'm pretty cool. And like even you, the way your banter is with men, but also like with anybody in general, I feel like it's helped just your voice in general, right? And that's part of like, yeah, like your magnetism, your aura, your badass So, period.
I think it
Yeah.
is a big matter of feeling like it's okay to take up space.
Yes.
Which
Yeah.
was a hard thing for me for most
Yeah.
of my life with the body image stuff. That like literal physical space
Yeah.
felt unsafe, but then just taking up space with my voice, with my personality,
Mhm.
with my accomplishments, like it always felt like unsafe in the matter that it was going to result in some kind of negative
Yeah.
or uncomfortable situation. And I think I just realized through experience and through the experimenting that in the right circumstances and in front of the right person, taking up space not only is okay, but it feels so much better than
Yeah.
someone receiving me not taking up space.
Yeah. I love that. And I even say even in the moments where you want to say no, you've like kind of narrowed down like a way of speaking that you're still honoring your boundaries, but like you're doing it in a way that is, I don't want to say like, it's not even like off-putting. You're still being like, what the heck? Like the perfect example I can think of this is like when you were talking about that guy. That was like I was literally like trying to be like, are you done being a vegetarian? Or trying to get you to eat meat? And then you're like, should I? Should I? Like, just like the way your quirkiness comes out is so amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah, I love it. I love it.
Thank you.
We love her. Yeah.
I love her too.
Yes.
She feels good to embody.
Yeah. Every time she comes out, I'm like, there she goes. I admire her a lot. I love it.
you.
Yes,
Thank
of course.
you.
Was there any point like in the bedroom, like through your experiments, where you felt unsafe to say no? And then if you did, like what would you say to like, let's say women out there who have that experience? Like how would they, I guess, overcome that, or like what should they do next?
I've certainly had experiences where I felt unsafe, but I wouldn't say with certainty that I have ever been unsafe.
Okay.
Because those are very different things.
Yes. Yeah.
Those are very different things. And I'm quite fortunate to be able to say I don't know for sure if I've ever been in a sexual situation where I was actually unsafe to be able to say that.
Yeah.
But I know what it's like to at least feel like I am and repress. Like I said, a lot of the sexual fawning was from feeling unsafe. I think there is, I mean, honestly, it sounds really simple and maybe there is better advice in this, but speaking from experience, just acknowledging to myself that was something I wanted to overcome and also acknowledging to myself why, like having skin in the game, I suppose, as to why that was important for me to overcome. Because if it was just a matter of like, I should probably get better at communicating. A lot of people could say that, like, I could just get better at communicating. But if it was just that and there was no stakes behind it, then it would just, in those moments where I'm feeling vulnerable and where the pattern is getting triggered, I would just be so much more likely just to do what was comfortable and what I had done every other time. But I think acknowledging to myself, okay, I know that in the partnership that I desire to be in, I am going to have to communicate better with my person in order for them to be who I need them to be. Because no man is just going to know. No man is going to know about my patterns and my habits of dissociating. They're not going to know, like, all the time if I make a face that means that I'm in pain, even though I've told myself that they should know and they should just stop immediately. And if they don't, then they don't care about me. That's the story. But I knew that I couldn't rely on that. And I was always going to have a pattern of, even in longer term relationships, building resentment behind the scenes because I was projecting that story of they don't actually care about me without giving myself the opportunity to really get that evidence because I wasn't communicating what it is that I actually needed from them in order for them to show me whether they cared about it or not, you know? So I think just deciding for yourself that this is important and that you want to overcome this and why is like the first step. And then I think just practicing in micro moments. Like I didn't go right into, okay, let me find a guy to have sex with me so that I can tell him whether it's painful or not. I went into, okay, like the next time a guy approaches me and asks for my number, if I'm not feeling like it, I'm just going to say no. And I'm not going to tell them that it's because I have a boyfriend, which was my normal excuse.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, no, it's okay. And just challenge myself to stop there, which was hard.
I love that.
It was really hard.
Challenging. Yeah.
Yeah. And just doing that in micro moments. You don't even have to do it with men. right away if that feels vulnerable. Maybe you do that with someone that you already feel a safe and established relationship with. Like if you struggle with fawning in every area of your life, try it with your best friend. Just start to get attuned to what are my warning signs, my earliest warning signs that I'm about to fawn, that I'm about to abandon and reject what it is that I actually want and need, because it feels like too much or because it's uncomfortable. It could be something as small as like your friend asking like, oh, do you want a glass of water? And your immediate response before if you've even like thought about if you're thirsty or not is, no, it's okay. Like you didn't even think about it, right? I think a lot of us have a pattern of just not wanting to take up space, not wanting to be a burden. So I think just setting the intention, realizing why it's important, getting attuned to what are your earliest warning signs, and then challenging yourself in a manner that feels stretchy still, but safe enough that you will actually do it to start challenging those experiences of fawning.
Yeah, I really like that. And like just touching on the base of like experimenting, I feel like most like if I feel like it's even a luxury and a privilege to be able to experiment in safe environment with people, especially in this day and age. So I would even say that like most women, if they're struggling with that, should maybe see how they can. And if you're in a relationship and you're struggling with that, like start practicing even saying that and seeing things that like you do like and that you are wanting to like experience with your partner, because just because you are taken doesn't mean that like that stops. It's like giving vanilla 24/7. Like that is still very much active while you're still in a relationship, because I have heard a lot of people just praise how like they really use and took their time being single to really find themselves through all these experiences. And it's just, yeah, it's amazing. It's
Yeah.
amazing.
You can learn it from a lot of different people, or you can learn it with one person. I think
Yeah.
it's important to acknowledge that. And there's pros and cons to both, because
Yeah.
with different people, it will come innately with different experience, just kind of built into it. Like you will just naturally have to, try different things that the other person wants. But just because you're with one person doesn't mean that you can't also, like you said, experience new things and more things. I think the con is that you're going to have to communicate that and feel safe and comfortable to be able to do that, which can be hard for a lot of people. Even if your partner is amazing and your relationship's amazing, it can feel vulnerable. But the pro to exploring it with someone that you're in a long-term relationship with is, like we said at the very beginning, you're already kind of over that initial like nerves, like you've never seen me naked before, I've never seen you naked before, this is feeling kind of uncomfortable, I don't know how I feel about you seeing my faces when I'm having sex. Like once that's kind of out of the way, then I feel like it's a lot easier just to do the experimenting and the learning and the new experiences without having to go through that every time with a new person.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Do you feel like attraction kind of plays a role into how you receive in the bedroom? Because I'm wondering if like, because if you're how I'm thinking about it is, you know, we go through life people pleasing. So a lot of people, I feel like in their lives, one way or another, they're settling, right? Whether they want to admit it or not, you may not feel like you're worthy of what you want, et cetera, et cetera. So I feel like that could. Do you feel like that could kind of sort of play in the bedroom too? Because if you're already settling for like a person, you're not being honest with yourself, then there's already a disconnect from like your heart. Then it makes sense that there's going to be a disconnect from you speaking your truth, because you're not even honest with yourself, and then no wonder your yoni is gonna not gonna open, right? Do you feel like that plays a big role into even feeling like safe enough to be open and explorative?
I'm smiling so big already because I'm like, girl,
Let's do
I feel like you already probably know this, and maybe that's why you said it, but this is such a big point to it. Is there was actually one relationship of mine many years ago. I was very young, and I was not attracted to them at all, and not even just physically. I just didn't, honestly, this sounds so bad, but I just didn't respect them as a person. Like I didn't look up to them. There was nothing about them that I really honored or looked up to or respected. And during that relationship, no joke, it was almost 4 years. I convinced myself I was asexual. Like, so asexual. Didn't even, I was Googling, I was going down the rabbit hole of like what is this asexual identity and how do you know? Because the thing I was grappling with is I remember feeling sexual very young, which is probably part of why I lost my virginity so long. But I remember feeling the urges and the curiosity at a very young age. And like even being way too young to be fantasizing about having sex, I really wanted to when I was really young. And so being in my, late teens, early 20s and not at all wanting to have sex, like not, and we were together 4 years. I think we had sex 4 times.
Oh my God. Once a year. Like, on his birthday. And she just dissociated and fawned the whole time.
Dissociated and fawned the whole time. Literally. Yeah, it was bad. And it's so funny to think back on that now and be like, like it wasn't even obviously a bit of cognitive dissonance, but like I fully believed that I was asexual. I wasn't letting myself believe that it was because I wasn't attracted to the person or that I didn't want to be there, because it was a whole thing, but I really struggled leaving that relationship at the end for a lot of reasons, and I stayed in it way too long for a lot of other reasons. And so admitting to myself that I didn't actually like him or that I wasn't attracted to him would have been way too much to handle at the time for myself. And so I think that is a lot where my pattern of resentment and my pattern of fawning came in. I avoided sex literally like the plague, like as much as I could get away with not having it, I would. But then when I did, I didn't want to. Yeah. It was another, like, I feel like I have to kind of situation. So, yeah. And I mean, attraction, you mentioned attraction being the main part of this question. I think it goes beyond just physical attraction. I think it goes beyond, like, to what I was mentioning around honoring the person, respecting the person, liking who they are, feeling safe with them. Those are a little bit more important than I would say is like you looked at them the first time and thought that they were hot. Yeah. I feel like I answered the question. You did. Okay. Yeah. So for like women out there who are, let's say, in those relationships where they're like, I feel like I'm not attracted to this person on all levels, not just physical. What would you say to them? And that's affecting like their sex life. Ooh, she's getting close to the camera, y'all. Let it out. Leave that man. Period. She said what she said. And that's on answering questions. Okay. The girlies have asked. Girl has an answer. I love it. This girl said, I'm assuming it's a girl, I was seeing this guy and he left bruises on my peach butt. But now me and that guy stopped talking and I started talking to this new guy. I really want to sleep with him, but I can't think of a good excuse as to why I got bruises on my peach cheeks. I don't think I'm going to think of a good enough excuse. It feels a bit silly. Like, I can think of 3 off the top of my head. You fell. Yeah. You're clumsy. You hit your hip on the side of the... I mean, unless the bruises literally look like they're in the shape of a hand. Yeah, like that's a good question. What are the bruises? Or is it like a hickey? Ooh, on the bum. Ooh, girl. Cheeky. I love that for you. Yeah. I mean, okay, there's like 2 ways my brain wants to answer this. One is just like wanting to actually be like, girl, just say you fell. Like, you'll be fine. He probably won't ask questions. Even if he's suspicious, he probably won't ask questions because he won't want to know. Another part of me is like, I get not wanting to be like, oh yeah, these are from a guy I was having sex with last week. Like, that would be awkward. I do get that. But then I can't see a reality where I would want to be honest. Yeah. But do we have to lie? I don't know. What do you think? Honestly, I wouldn't bring it up. And if he brought it up, I'd be like, oh, I don't know. Like, I fell or something. Yeah. I don't remember. As if he's going to like, that's what I'm saying. Like, I wouldn't even bring it up. And if he brings it up, oh, I don't remember actually. Period. Yeah.
That's what I would say.
100%.
Okay.
And like, if in a weird universe where you excuse it and he's like, I don't believe you.
Imagine.
Just put your pants back on and leave. Like, he's just being weird at that point. Like, already that's a red flag.
Why are we digging? Don't worry about it. Like, literally, yeah.
Yeah. It's like, it's literally not like you cheated on this man. You just were seeing someone else. And then it sounds like this is pretty new too. So if he's already getting like weirdly possessive over you at this point, that's a good thing to know right away. Good thing you have bruises on your bum.
Yeah.
To figure that out. Yeah. So that you can, like I said, pull those pants back up, girl, and you walk out that room.
Period. Okay. I love that. Okay, question 2 said, I know you talked about friendship last episode, but how do you go about bringing something up uncomfortable in a friendship to clear the air? I love this question.
We have some experience with this.
Yes, we do. I love this one.
I know. We've gotten quite good at it.
Yes, we have.
Yeah.
I feel like for me, girl, it goes back to the conversation that we had. Like, this is, I feel like there's safety. There first needs to be safety in the friendship. That's one. Because I think about the times where I didn't bring it up, and like 100% of the times was because I didn't feel safe. And even though when I did bring it up, it led to outbursts or like gaslighting. There was no empathy, or even trying to like see where I'm coming from. So I think one is safety. Do you feel safe in the friendship? And I'm assuming you do because you're asking, right? So the second thing would be, is it worth it enough for you to bring it up, right? Like, would they empathize with you? So how I would go about it is being like, okay, take like being angry or hurt out of the way. It's like, if this person loves me, I'm going to take that as face value. And I'm not saying this to hurt them. I'm just saying this to clear the air because I am uncomfortable and I don't want to stay uncomfortable. And if they care enough about you, they wouldn't want to keep you being uncomfortable. So they would want to try to like meet you halfway. So if you have something, I can't even think of anything. Like, I don't know, you go to a restaurant and you were talking to somebody and you liked a guy, but like your friend interrupted and you really wanted to talk to that guy. Let's give that for an example. If you're going out with that person, you could kind of be like, hey, so last time we were out, like I was talking to this guy, I really liked him. I don't know if you noticed that, but is it okay if maybe in those situations, like you could maybe let me talk to him and stuff like that? I feel like that's a good way to put it. That's an example. Yeah.
And
what would you?
In some situations, you can even make a joke.
Exactly.
Depending on your relationship with that person.
Yeah.
You've been like, next time, could you let me talk to the hot man when he's talking to me?
Yes, literally. And you'd be like, oh, you're right, girl. Shit.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes that can work. Sometimes, you know, humor isn't going to work in that exact scenario. I want to start with what you said about the safety thing, because yes, you do need to feel safe in your friendships to feel safe bringing up vulnerable things, but safety is also earned in these moments. It's this earned by how well you communicate and how clear and intentional you are about communicating the vulnerable thing, and it's also earned in how they receive it.
Yes.
And the conversation and the change also that follows it.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't even say, like, let's just say in case this is like a newer friendship and maybe there isn't a level of safety established quite yet, because maybe this is the first time that you're having to bring up something vulnerable. There inherently wouldn't really be a lot of safety established yet, but this is an opportunity to build it for sure.
Yeah.
One idea that I have is just around being able to use tone. So sometimes it's more helpful to bring things up in person, or if you can't, on a voice note, because there's so much that changes in how someone receives what you're saying based on the tone in which you deliver it. And so when you're typing this long thing to someone, it would be easier, and it would definitely be easier for them to misinterpret it and for them to get more triggered and defensive. Especially if this is like the first time that you've really encountered that and they're not really sure how to interpret what you're saying, because this is the first time they're receiving feedback like this from you. So I do understand and empathize with, sometimes you really do just have to type it out because you are nervous and you feel like you need to be able to type it and then read it back and then edit it and then like change some things here and there so that you're really confident and sure about what it is that you're saying. Whereas when it's more in person, sometimes you might have the experience of like you start stuttering and you don't quite say what it is that you meant, and you kind of talk in circles a little bit. So I can empathize with it, but I would challenge you, if you can, to try to use your actual physical voice when delivering feedback, because it will be easier for the other person to receive it in the way that you meant them to receive it. If you have to do it on text, I would just be a little bit more cautious of that then. Like maybe add a few emojis here and there to add makeshift tone into the text. Use a little bit more of like your casual tone rather than completely changing the way that you text normally only when you're giving feedback, because then that could create again emphasize the fact that your tone is different if like the way that you're texting is also different. So I'd just be aware of that. And I would also just try to be in like a grounded place first. Like take some time, really like just sit without your phone for a second and just have a conversation in your head and think of how you want them to receive it, how you want to feel in their feedback back to you, or how they respond back to you. And then just try to emulate that in and bring that feeling forward with you into that conversation.
Yeah, that's a really good point, because I honestly, what helps me is this person loves it. I have to repeat that to myself. So it's like I can't operate from or like say what I need to say in a place that's going to hurt them, because they love me and I love them. So I feel like when you go into that giving feedback, you automatically remove like the anger, because love is at the forefront. And I feel like it already helps someone from coming from attack. You're automatically coming from love instead of being like, hey, I think that you did this, blah, blah, blah. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah.
I also do wonder on that point that I wonder if this person has any evidence from this friendship so far that this person might be a bit reactive or get really defensive in moments of receiving feedback that is making them nervous. Because obviously this person who sent us the question is nervous about bringing this up to their friend.
Yeah.
And so I wonder if this is just something that they're assuming and projecting onto this person because they've experienced it with other people, or is this something specific to that person that is making you feel that way? And if it is a matter of you've seen evidence that this person really struggles to receive feedback and they get defensive or they get really triggered, I don't think that's a reason not to do it, but I think it is good for you to know just how much more grounded you're going to have to be in that moment, and that you might need to do a little bit of extra fluffing for that person, and you might have to do a little bit of picking up the broken pieces at the end of the conversation with that person. And if the friendship is worth it to you, I don't think that's a problem inherently, because if that person is that way, they obviously learned to be that way throughout their life. There might have been situations that taught them that when someone is giving them feedback, that they're unsafe, that it means something is terribly wrong is going to happen. And so their nervous system might get extremely heightened in moments of receiving feedback like this, even if it's constructive criticism that means well. Their nervous system might not know how to tell the difference between that and like a big fight or about something really painful that they experienced when they were younger. And so I think there is a level of, you have to decide for yourself, how much compassion am I willing to give this person? If it is something that you need to work through with them, it might be worth it. You could end up being that person for them that helps them to mend some of that wound if that is a really sensitive thing for them. I will say that I have always naturally been that way as well. Like, I am talking from experience that I have been the person that really struggles receiving feedback, like really badly. And even to this day, even though I don't act from it as much as I used to, even if Colleen, my best friend in the entire world, who I know would never leave me, unless, like you said in previous conversations, unless I try to kill her or try to sleep with Henry, I know that I'm safe with her more than anyone in the world, but I still feel my nervous system get when you give me a little bit of feedback.
Yeah, me too. Because I
Yeah.
feel like that's just a natural human. Because we don't want to feel like I feel like it comes down to not feeling like bad. Because it comes down to like how were you disciplined as a kid, right? So if you were only disciplined when you're bad, immediately you're like, oh my god, I am the worst person ever. They hate me, and now they're rejecting me. It just and then the potatoes keep potatoing.
The potatoes do potato badly. Badly. We learned this in our friendship episode where we were even talking about my birthday this year, when like you being quiet made me literally think that you hated me.
Yes. Never, ever, ever.
I know. And I know that, yet sometimes the potatoes are convincing. It's very funny.
I get it.
So to wrap up this one, I would say lead with compassion, lead from being grounded, and decide for yourself, like, how much am I willing to support this person in being able to receive my feedback? Because it might be a matter of them not being great at hearing what I have to say right away. But if I am compassionate and patient with them and I use this experience as a learning opportunity for the both of us, then it could be something that's no longer a problem for us in the future.
I agree. But you should always say what's on your mind. Don't keep it in. Yeah.
Yes.
Literally.
Let's emphasize.
Yes.
5 exclamation marks literally. On that one.
Literally.
Please don't let resentment fester in your friendships, because it's not going to work out.
Yep. Tower moment.
Yeah.
Take it from me.
Yeah. Same.
Oh my god. Okay, last question. Am I crazy? I like this one too. These were all really good questions. Yeah. Am I crazy for not wanting to go to coffee for a first date? I feel like this day and age is missing the courting culture. Yeah, okay. Speaking from me, call it being a Taurus, being ruled by Venus. I do love to be courted. So I'm not gonna lie. I feel my dates were not coffee dates. Like, you were taking me out to dinner and then we were going dancing, clubbing, because that's what I like to do. And then maybe you were taking me out shopping. And like, I think Henry spent like $400-$500 just on our first date. Like, you know what I mean? So that's what I said.
That's how you know.
That's what I'm like, yo, maybe don't listen to me. But coffee, that's a no for me. Yeah. Because if it's a situationship, I get it. If you're just starting to know someone, I totally get it. But for me, if I'm like, I feel like if I'm trying to get serious with someone, let's go to dinner. I want to look nice, and then let's talk. If it's awkward, then let it be awkward for an hour. Then you're not for me, right? Yeah. But like, I feel like a coffee is just such like an unintimate environment, and it doesn't get you to where you need to be. But also, I'm looking at it from the other like point of view, because this is my point of view. But my sister has shared that like, because of like the dating culture nowadays, it is actually safer to go to coffee sometimes because it's shorter. And then if you don't like the person, you're not trapped there, instead of like a dinner where you feel trapped. So like, I see both sides, but so I get what you mean. I do feel like this culture is missing like the courtingness of things, because people are just trying to like quickly get through things. So I understand.
Yeah.
What's your take on it?
Similar. I can see both sides, but let me amplify.
Yeah.
Similarly, my Pisces romanticizer, my Enneagram 4 loves to feel special. I also deeply value the courting situation. I want someone to show me through their action that they see me and that they like me and that they see my worth. And I don't want to be questioning that at any point in time. And I can see why, a coffee date doesn't feel like it's honoring that. But to me, I feel like I can have both. Like, I can want the courting and I can hold that standard as a priority in like the relationships. Like, the person that I would be with wouldn't just take me to coffee. You would definitely take me on dates and be creative and make an effort. But for a first date, maybe this is just because I love coffee. First of all,
she does.
I love coffee. I really love coffee. I agree with the point that it is safer.
Yeah.
It's more casual. It's not as much of a commitment.
Yeah.
And I'm going to amplify with one other point that feels really true for me, but this might not resonate with everyone. especially if it's my first time seeing that person, shoving spaghetti in my face and trying to talk to them just feels awkward to me.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just not gonna feel like I can, like, we're gonna be chewing, there's gonna be a lot going on, like if it's a dinner, for example. And I guess this person didn't say like it's only coffee or dinner, like there are other dates as well. But I feel like a coffee is just a really easy way to get to know someone. You sip, you talk. You sip a bit later, you talk. Like you actually get to know that person in a very casual environment. You're not like, I don't know, climbing Mount Everest together and out of breath. Like you're just chilling, and you're sipping and you're talking and it's chill and you're just getting to know that person. And I think maybe in some situations where people say like, oh, I would never let a man take me on a coffee date as a first date. It to me it feels a bit avoidant.
Okay.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Like a protective mechanism, maybe I should say.
I kind of agree, because I mean, technically, if Henry took me on a first date, on a coffee date, I'd be like, all right, but we're going on a real date after. Because you're right. It's kind of like, why are we talking essays right now? Because I'm getting an essay analogy, but like the coffee is the introduction. And the dinner is the body, and then maybe your little intimacy later, your little sex later is the conclusion.
Okay. Hopefully it's a good one.
Climax.
Yes, I agree. Like it, and I only say this because I've gotten the vibe from I've heard women say this. I've heard women say, I would never let a man take me on a coffee date as a first date. And it, like, the vibe that I got from like the tone of what they were saying, it did feel very much like I've got to be so picky in this day and age, and I have to like cut these men, like I have to hold these high standards because people are just so sick of being disappointed. I think in the dating industry, they're so tired of wasting their time. And so I think a lot of women are coming up with all of these rules and understandably so, but all of these rules that if a man doesn't meet them, then it's like, well, now you're a risk. I might end up wasting my time with you, so I'm not even going to bother. But just because a man offers to take you on a coffee date for the first date, I don't think means he should be written off automatically. I don't think.
I agree 100%. I agree. And I think like you can't judge it, because I mean, if you're always going on a coffee date, then he might be broke. But at the same time, like, just because he's taking you on a coffee date doesn't mean he can't provide for you and give you the safety that you need. It just might be like a comfort thing. It's an introduction. So yeah,
most men also aren't like thinking, like they're just like, that's a normal thing to do, to ask a woman for coffee.
Literally. Yeah. And I feel like they also think, they're probably thinking, if I'm gonna take her to dinner, I want someone that I'm actually wanting to enjoy time with, right? And if they don't know that, it makes sense why they say coffee.
Yeah. And I think a lot of women would hear that and be like, he should just know. But I don't think that he should just know.
Yeah, no.
He literally doesn't know you. Even if you've been messaging for days or weeks on the apps or whatever it is, I think that it's fair for a person to want to meet you IRL before making any grand, and not that taking someone to dinner is a grand gesture, but before like doing something that requires a bit more time and a bit more financial investment. I think that's reasonable.
I agree. Period. All right, guys. This was such a beautiful, I feel like it's so beautiful and grounded. Yes. So much like fun, juicy bits in here. So I hope you guys enjoyed it.
We sure did.
Yes, we did. You can follow us on Instagram at gurl.pod.
And you can follow us personally. Colleen is at Shamama Colleen.
And Kelly at Kelevate_.
Talk to you later, girlies.
Bye.